right, so I'm in the middle of talking to a new maker who's down in Australia, and he was having some questions about how to do the reed channel and crimp the reed. And just so happens that I'm working on a flux right now, and I'm right at that point. So I figured let's make a video out of this. I've also got this fancy new stand, so I'm gonna set this up where let's do this. I'm just gonna film myself doing this. And with the new iPhone update, I can rock out to some King Gizzard on my old Bose speaker while I do all this. So what I've done is I've got it lined up to where I want it. You can see there's a slight line on the reed there. And I've been filing away with a triangular file in the channel to line it up as much as possible. Get it nice and get a good fit on it. And you want the bottom to be as flat as possible. So I've gotten to that point just a little bit at a time. Keep checking. Put some pressure down on there. You want to make sure it's going to be flat, as flat as possible anyway. It's very hard to get totally perfect if you're doing it by file, which is how I'm doing it. And my next step, now that I like that it does sit flat, because I'll show you what I'm looking for here. If I was trying to go further, you would see a much bigger gap there. Because the taper is holding it up, it's preventing it from going all the way down. So if I pull it back a little bit, now it's got just that little bit more room to drop down to the bottom of the channel and sit flat on it, which is right where I want it. So my next step is to put my phone on this stand. Okay, that obviously didn't work, so we'll have to edit that together with the other video. So what I'm gonna do now is, in order to make the crimp, I've gotta fold the metal in onto the reed. And I've been finding for myself, the easiest way to do that is I just like to carve myself a little notch right about here. And on the other side as well. And as I go, I've been collecting more and more files. Not very expensive. I do have a couple of nice ones, some Nicholson files and such, but for the most part, these are all just very cheap, not the greatest files. But I find that I need to have a good corner on any file that I'm using. So some of them don't have the best ones, but I've been able to use it, and with an assortment, it actually works out. This one is a nice Nicholson one. So for this process here, I like to just, I don't know why I like it. It just seems to be the right size, does a good job, leaves a nice finish. But I am just filing the inner part of this reed channel a little bit more. Keep it going. I don't want to go too far. I want to leave enough material to bend over the reed. But I want to go down enough that when I hit it with my hammer and punch, it doesn't take a lot of force. And I just kind of shape this how I think might look all right for the most part. But I do want to have a flat spot to actually put the cold chisel, the cold punch on, to hit with the hammer. Okay. Try not to end the video this time. Now, I am not quite ready to do the crimp yet because I need to do a little bit more cleanup on the frame, and I like to make sure that my alignment right down the center is as good as possible before I actually do the crimp. So I'm going to do a little bit more filing and cleanup first before I get to that point, but it's essentially prepped now to where it's going to be ready for a hammer. Let's go back to this stand here. There, yeah. And so what I'm going to do, I will have my punch. I actually use the anvil in the back of my vise here, but this is a good surface for your punch. Okay, today is a new day, and I am ready to pull off this crimp here. And I've got my mark lined up, and what I've done, hopefully you can see this. Yeah, I can see it. This new camera stand is great. All right, so phone stand. My arms are lined up pretty good, so hopefully this crimp is also fairly aligned, resulting in minimal adjustment of the arms. So what I do is I line my line up right here where I want it, and I pull out favorite sized drift. I've got my big smacking hammer, anvil on the back of my vise, and a quick tap. I usually try to do one on either side, maybe another one more for good luck, and that is not near enough, so we need to go a bit more. Maybe tap the reed in a bit. Okay, we're definitely getting there. I like to do a bit of a tightness check. Yeah, see, I was able to move it over a bit, so it's not there yet. Sometimes the crimp takes a little extra muscle. I may move up to a bigger punch. That felt solid. Give her this one a good solid one too. When you start to get a bit of a ring as well, oh yeah, it's starting to get just about there. And I will have to make a little bit of alignment adjustment. Let's see. This happens sometimes. This reed actually had a bit of a curve to it. And as I make my adjustments, I may have to tighten the crimp a little bit. And it's just a matter of trial and error. Going a little bit at a time. Adjustment, tap, adjustment, tap, that kind of thing. Sometimes it comes together very quick. Other times it does not. It's all part of the fun. I think I might try the bigger one. Now I think we're getting somewhere. You can hear, whoop, bit of a ring, but also a bit of the bass sound too. And that's when you know you're starting to get tight. And my reed returns back to its center position when I try to side-to-side deflection test. That's the official name of the test, FYI. Just made it up right now. One last little tap, I think, on each side. Just until I feel good about it. And yeah, I think I can align this nicely. We'll go from there. Adios. Oh. keep forgetting. Okay, we are gonna do the trigger bend now. So I've cleaned it all up. I've got the arms basically aligned to where I want it, and I've been finding if I'll do the alignment at this stage, there's very minimal adjustments to do after I've bent the trigger. So on my harps, I like to make my fluxes and my surges primarily for outward play, plucking like this. So I will bend the trigger in that direction, meaning the crimp needs to go down, and I bend the trigger up. So I have this little reminder inspired by the Beastie Boys to kick it crimp down. So we shall kick it crimp down. And what I do is I just gently give this a bit of a clamp on my... There's nothing special about this 2x4. It's just a piece of 2x4 I've been using since the beginning. And it's misshapen. It kind of causes me hassle sometimes. It's been half burnt up, but I use it. I'm gonna get this out of my way. And we're just gonna go for it. I just use a propane torch. This is pretty much the only time that I use any heating on my harps nowadays. And I'm gonna start off with the primary elbow bend. Get it red hot, which I might have a little too much light on, and bend. Get it a little bit crooked. I'm just going to reheat that a bit. And quick. Sometimes you can actually bend it side to side cold afterwards, and it's almost better. Not liking this teardrop. There we go. A little better. Yeah. Might be a little weird. Let's get a look at that. It's a bit big. We'll see how this plays. It does cool down relatively fast. So let's see where we're at. Still a bit warm. Ooh, a little too warm. So it is winter time here, Southern Ontario, where I am. It's not especially cold today. It's above freezing, but it's still cool enough. All right. It actually plays not too bad. We'll see how it cools down a bit. I'll clean up the trigger. I might bring the note up slightly, but they did want a low bassy one. And I might have to try and... I don't know, I was having a hard time with these gaps. They're pretty good. Maybe I can go a little tighter. And here it is, the finished Flux. It was coming in around D1, but it wasn't really throwing all that great. Sometimes you can just tell if you feel that it just needs to be lightened up a little bit. And I ended up leaving the trigger, but because it did need to be lightened up. I gave it a bit of a tapering using my belt sander, and then cleaned it up, of course. And yeah, it's now sitting at E1. So let's give it a little test hootenanny here at the Boxcar Harp Company worldwide headquarters with my new iPhone tripod stand. And here we go. All right, let's try some muting on her. Yeah, pretty good. I think he's gonna like it. Adios.